Hi everybody, my name is Dennis. Welcome back to another album review. Today we're reviewing the latest record from Lingua Ignota, entitled Caligula. Now, I was really excited for this album, I have to be honest. I was really looking forward to the release, and it's taken me a while to review it just because I wanted to soak this album in. There's so much to it, and there's just so much emotion and power behind it that just every time I listened to it, I just needed to soak everything in. And it's just such a great album. I have to just say that right now. It's a phenomenal album, and it really didn't disappoint me. There's so many tracks on here that are able to really effectively show this style that mixes these very graceful, beautiful, and elegant tones and styles with these hard-hitting, heavily distorted, angry, aggressive, and powerful sounds. And it just creates this amazing piece of work from start to finish. And it is a very long album. It is over an hour. However, I think this is actually good for this album because it allows it to develop everything within the music in a really effective way. We have songs like Do You Doubt Me, Traitor, that are 9.5 minutes long, but despite their length, there is a continuous progression of sounds throughout that can range anywhere from very graceful strings all the way to very worn and very deep and very overdramatic expressions of angst and sorrow. On top of this, we get all these very dark and disturbing and creepy lyrics that portray these very grisly images in such a way that is so frightening, it's so compelling, it's so disturbing, it's so intriguing at the same time that it creates this amazing effect from start to finish. And on this same song, we get these blood-curdling screams over these heavy, distorted, loud, noisy sounds that just have this beautiful atmosphere to them that's just frankly amazing. The song Butcher of the World, again, has a lot of these same qualities to it, and even though it's not as long of a song, it's still long, it's 6.5 minutes, but it still is able to do this in such a phenomenal way. And we see her able to convey these ideas in such a great way through many of the songs on here. May Failure Be Your Noose is easily one of the most graceful of the songs on here. It has one of the most heavy pianos to it that is quite nice, I must say. And again, it goes back into those very dark, disturbing, and grisly pieces of imagery throughout the lyrics that just convey this darkened state of mind from start to finish. The song Fragrant is My Many-Flowered Crown. I have to be honest, I didn't really care for the very start of the song where we have these like wow, 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 wow effects put on her voice, but I think the rest of the song is absolutely gorgeous. I especially think the outro of the song is just to die for. It just melts your ears in such a beautiful way. Again, it does convey these more aggressive tones at points, but it's such a well-done balance. This album never feels too heavy. It never feels too dense. It's never too distorted. Yet it's never too soft. It's never too shallow. It's never too graceful. It balances these in such a compelling way, because if the whole thing was very orchestral and beautiful while still having these dark and frightening lyrics, it would create this really strange effect that doesn't mesh all that well. But if the entire thing was this heavy, screaming, distorted, just explosion of an album, it would quickly grow tiresome because you can only really do these parts in small bits from here to there, or else it becomes just tiresome, it becomes bland, and it gets very repetitive. And thankfully it doesn't get repetitive on this album because there's such a perfectly done balance on here. And we see that on other songs like if the poison doesn't take you, my dogs will. And I have to say, these are some great song titles on here, where again it just has this well done balance all the way through. Days of Tears and Mourning, again, just another really compelling song all the way through. Spite Alone Holds Me Aloft. Ooh, this is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. Again, this is another one where the outro just is probably one of the best moments across this entire thing. I think the outro is absolutely to die for. It is so beautiful yet slightly unsettling. It's creepy yet graceful. It's able to convey so many feelings and emotions and tones so effortlessly that it really just blows me away. And the concluding song on here, I Am the Beast, is another great song. It is on the longer side as far as this album goes, nearing almost 8 minutes, but really, other than the song I'm Freaking Death Dealer, there really are no short songs on here. So the song I Am the Beast is a really great way to wrap up this album. It starts off towards the beginning of it, again, much more smooth, much more soft, much more graceful, much like many of the other points on this album. Then as it goes on, it slowly becomes more weary, it becomes more anxious, it becomes more aggressive, where we get these forlorn just vocals that sound like they're pleading for help in the way that they're spoken. And again, it just transforms into this heavily distorted, angry, furious piece of music. And I have to be honest, you don't really hear scream vocals from females all that often. Typically, the very loud scream vocals are from male artists. But when done right, a female scream artist can be one of the most haunting things. And it is done beautifully on here. I have to admit, the vocals on here were effectively flawless. Again, there were some points where there were some effects I didn't like as much, like the song Sorrow, Sorrow, Sorrow. Those like wow, 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 wow vocal effects that I didn't like as much in Flagrant Is My Many Flowered Crown. They are much more prevalent on here, and I find them extremely distracting, and to me it brings the song down significantly from what it could have been. I also thought there were a couple other weak moments on the album where the song like Freaking Death Dealer, to me, could have had more to it. I didn't mind its briefness. I don't think that's the issue. I just wish the instrumentals had more life to them. I wish they had more energy, because unfortunately the song just kind of passes in a rather forgettable way. Again, I do like the more creepy aesthetic presented by the lyrics and her vocals, but I don't think the instrumentals support her all that well. I also think that opening song, Faithful Servant Friend of Christ, again, I just wish there was more to it. I liked it overall. I thought it was a good song, but it just could have done so much more. I do think the strings on here are quite nice, but I wish that they had transformed into something else, maybe to something either more aggressive or with a different sound to them. And granted, it did break into some more piano-like pieces at points, but it just didn't do enough for me to really bring this song out. I don't think it was really fully met to its proper degree. I think this song could have been so much more. It was a solid intro, but it really just didn't contribute to the album as a whole all that much. So, I mean, like I said, overall this album was great. It was nothing short of great. It's definitely not going to be the kind of thing that's for everyone. It's very creepy, it's very aggressive, it's very strange at points, but I do think it is quite a phenomenal piece of work. I think the lyrics that characterize our singer here as almost like an antichrist at points are so beautifully unsettling and creepy. I think her vocals do a great job of whether they be graceful, whether they be slightly unsettling, whether they be worrisome, whether they be full-blown demonic screaming. They are always top-notch. And there's just so much to love about this album, even through its occasional slip-up. So, I mean, overall, I'm feeling a strong 8 on this. Great album from start to finish. Definitely check it out. It's really worth the significant length of the album. So, I mean, with all that being said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on here. Be sure to tell me how wrong my opinion is, as always. I'll see you in the next review.